Yeah.
And just to reiterate too, because we talked about now that we're get to the offensive zone, the positions dissolve as forwards, right? So now that once you're outside your D zone, outside the breakouts, and outside the regroups, but even on regroups, like a lot of times it could be a winger.
Interchangeable.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
interchangeable. But now it's like it's forwards. It's not as much centerman here,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
you want to go to the ozone now to finish
Yeah.
it, or what?
Ozone's real simple.
Yep.
Like, okay, so the one thing I would say from a skill standpoint is if you are a centerman, you do have a puck and you're coming up the ice, is try to stay inside those dots the best you can, because you can make plays going both ways. Does that make sense? All right. So that's number one. And then, I don't like to say too much offensively because sometimes you just need to play to learn that. And some guys are gifted and some guys aren't. But having said that, if you see guys that are open, even though you might be a star guy, a lot of times it's just a good play to make. Move the puck up instead of having guys standing still and learn how to distribute the puck. And then offensive zone is it's very simple. It's take the D zone and reverse it.
Yeah.
Right. Really. So a centerman, and now again, what Eric said is 100% right. If you're the third guy, right? If there's a F1 your winger and it happens to be another winger down here, well, because you're the centerman doesn't mean that you go, right? So now your defensive responsibility based on the systems, right? I don't need that line anymore. Based on the systems is learning. So if there's an F1 and an F2 battling for a puck down here, you just want to make yourself a good pass option or a defensive responsible player. So staying in the slot area is not, if a puck comes loose, you're not necessarily in the best spot. So what you want to do is, depending on what your coach says and what system it is, you do want to be on the strong side. So the strong side just simply means cheating towards the side where the puck is on, and a little bit higher, unless, and this is, I'm not saying I'm right, or there's just some different systems. Some people want 3, and that's fine. But if you have no idea, if you don't have a clue, if you're acluistic, as I said before, you want to be a little bit higher so that if a puck squirts out, you are able to flush that out on the side. And then obviously, no matter what, the centerman probably, if you're the high guy and the puck switches over, this guy needs to bust his ass. Centerman or whoever needs to come and be the support guy. And this guy would come out on the strong side this way. And it's really that simple on the offensive zone. And then one of the things I was just going to say, like offensive play, and I don't know if I said it with when I was saying, I'm just going to switch ends because it's my right hand here. I don't think I said this enough, or I don't know if I said it when I was just talking about wingers, is a lot of times when you play, we try to make plays from here, carry the puck up the wall, try to make passes in this area, and it's all good. It's fine. But one of the things that is a real safe zone, and more than safe, it's a confusing place to play, is getting the pucks behind the net, getting behind the net play. Because what happens there, like if you don't really have a play, let's just say I have a puck and I don't have a play, and I go nice and hard behind the net. All right. So what happens now is you got a defenseman here, you have someone chasing you here, and maybe possibly even a forward. But what happens, or the centerman, what happens here is that if this guy can bite, this guy can go, like, it just causes confusion. So by taking it to the net, people lose their assignments a lot, and you'll see a lot of plays get screwed up defensively from going behind the net. So I would say, and I mean, obviously Wayne Gretzky was the master at it, and he took it to a whole different level. But you'll see a lot of behind the net play, and it's like a major confusion especially for kids. So if you can learn how to be good at making plays behind the net, or coming and then like a tight turn and then coming back and then having a guy go down so you can cycle behind the net, that you create a ton of confusion.
Yeah.
So that's just something else that I would like to just say in general.
Yeah, and to go back to when we were talking about the defensive side, that's why that makes sense, right? Because we talked about the quadrant of the ice for the D, and the D's quadrant ends behind the net. That's where the switch happens, right? So you get to that, you're getting towards the edges. That's where things get tricky. And another play that is maybe equally confusing is when guys bring the puck up the wall and try to cut it through the middle at the hash mark, because the D doesn't know, do I stay with you or are you the wingers now? So
That's
if
very true.
you make use that knowledge of defensive zone play if you're especially if you're playing against a team that understands D zone because they're going to try to stick to their position. Obviously, they don't want to get running around. If you make plays around those edge areas, the edge area being behind the net where the D might have to switch, or by the hash marks where the D and the winger have to switch. Those are the
Where they meet up.
confusing areas, right? As soon because they don't know, do we switch? Do I stay? Do you go? And if they don't have good communication, or it's easy to get confused around those edges, right? So that totally makes sense.
So